Hello guys and girls, Jokester here, bringing you another episode of FTB Unstable. We are up to episode 31, and last episode we were working on a great big old tank of lava. And so what we did was we set up, let's make sure we don't hit that with a wrench. One of the weird things is if you hit this with a wrench, it rotates it, right? But then this uses grid power, right? Or at least in theory, it's tied to the extra utilities GP. It then says you don't have the permissions to interface with this and use, I forgot what it was, XPS power share or something like that. You just have to break that block and replace it, and then it will start working again. But yeah, it's a bug in that. I'll probably go over and submit that as a bug on the issues tracker. So just be aware of that. Don't hit it with one of the wrenches in the packs. So what we have here is, in theory, there's supposed to be an empty bucket here, and it will right click on this, fill it up, and send it over here with some clever use of some filters, right? Pulls out the empty bucket, or lets in the empty bucket, pulls out the full bucket, dumps it into here, and this is set to in and out. It dumps the full bucket in here. It empties it out, and all good. Now, we ran into a problem when we added the desire to do autocrafting with it. And really what this boils down to is it leaves a full bucket here. And that's a problem because we can't get it back out. We can't pull that full bucket out. It won't go anymore until I break this, like break one of these, put it right back. It then dumps out some of the lava, or I were to pull some of the lava out, it would then cycle that around, but it always leaves a full bucket in here. So how can we stop that? Or how can we prevent a full bucket from being in here? And we want to leave the full bucket in here. Well, we can set this to Redstone controlled, and we can use this cool block, which is called a tank sensor. And if we look at the configuration of this, this is, if you remember our Buildcraft gates back in 1.7, very similar to this. Now, I watched a mod portfolio, mod spotlight on these tanks, and there was a suggestion in there from the woman who was doing the spotlight that they add this block, and it looks like by now, by the time we're playing with it, they've added it, and it's a really cool block. So what it does is, right, just like our build gate, we can't click on this one until we set these two. So if we set the left one, we can say if the tank is, how full is it, or if the output module is in various states, or if there's a specific fluid type in here, and then it cycles back through. So we want the tank fill level, and if it's empty, if it's not empty, if it's over 5%, 25, 50, 75, 95, if it's almost full, or one word we want is if it's full, emit a signal on, and that's all we can do. So if the tank is full, send a redstone signal. And so we'll send it over here. So let's take some of our insulated redstone conduit, and we will fill this out here. Oh, why won't you let me go down here? I didn't want you up here. I want you down here. Down here. There we go. And now if we connect this in here and we set it to be here, I don't think I'm going to need strong signal. So we'll make sure it's in and out, right? We set this to redstone off, and this guy shouldn't need this in and out. Let's grab this bucket out, leave this in here, or I could put an empty bucket in here. Oh, that's right, it gets sent back over here, but we don't want that. We want this guy to be, let's try strong signal. So that's our first step, is we want to make sure this guy is redstone controlled. Don't extract it. Still doing that. So let's set this to redstone on. So it'll require a little bit of playing. Don't extract. We don't set it here. So let's try this again. All right, so it is extracting. Let's try this yet again. Stay. Stay, stay, stay. Let's try... Actually, you know what I can do? So I know I got that stopped. Yes, which is good. Now, can we do extract? There we go. Always active. Let's set this with signal. Aha, that's what I'm missing. So I think I want to be here, here, and let's try this again. So active with signal. It is getting signal now. So active without signal. That's what we want. Okay. So always requires just a little bit of playing around. Make sure we get it the right way. Excellent. Okay, so now this is not running when the redstone is off. No, when it will run when the redstone's off. There we go. And this guy over here is on extract. It will only extract this when it has no signal. Okay? So that means that when this is not full, it's going to turn off the redstone signal. It's going to fire this guy up and it'll start right clicking again, and it will allow this guy to extract this out. Now, when we're empty, it will no longer have a full bucket in here. And to test this, we can just knock one of these blocks out, put it right back. Oops, shift, put it right back. See how we now have a little bit of room. Let's tweak this. So we want this to be, yes, no, maybe. You're gonna work. Oh, I changed this. I want generic click. Let's try it. There we go. Okay, too many clicking. I click too much. Okay, so that's gonna fill that up. Excellent. Now, the other thing is for these guys, right? We've got the crafter here, and the crafter's got the pattern. We've got one bucket means one bit of lava. And this interface then is inserting here, and we've got a full lava bucket. We insert a full lava bucket. So remember, the pattern's going to insert a new bucket into here. It's going to get filled up out of here and get pulled back in here. So there will be a second bucket. So if I were to, let's get this while it's still running and give a test. There we go. That works while it's working. All right. And we should have one more bucket. Good. No buckets left in here. Excellent. Let's test it again. So it works while it's filling up. And let's test it without. You heard it just fill. So what happened was it dumped a lava in here, filled it up, sent it back into the interface over here. This was down one. This detected, we sent a redstone signal over here. This all fired up here, filled up its bucket, right? Its empty bucket in here, dumped it in here, sent it back, and left it here unfilled. There we go. There's the solution to our problem. Now I can auto-craft at will buckets of lava. So, right, if I want to say, give me 2 buckets, 3 buckets, let's try that. There's 1, 2, 3. And now this guy should be all filled up. That's how quick it is. Pretty cool, huh? Completed build. Hoo-hoo. And I might want to fill that out sooner or later, but frankly, 960 buckets full of lava, I'm plenty fine with that. And let's check our, sigil, the Bloodland Divination sigil. Let's check our Blood Magic LP. We are completely full, so no impact whatsoever. We are doing so good on LP. Those witches are really helping out a lot. All right, guys, welcome back. So, an episode or 2 ago, we saw that we set up this redstone ore and the red orchid on top of it. And it used the mechanical user, and behind here there's an item collector, and it collects this, right? It's slowly generating redstone. And if we look in here, we have 55,751, well up from where we were before. And we also, of course, have 6,194 blocks if we wanted to, but that's just because it's in a compacting drawer still. So either way, that's our total count. What we're going to do next needs a lot of redstone. So in order to do that, we want to make sure we maximize our redstone production. In some of the packs, we have ways to get redstone. And if we look at the ways in here, it's kind of what we're doing here, right? I could create a whole bunch of mana and drop something else in here, but we don't have a finite amount of glowstone. Now there's ways to replicate glowstone and so on, but this is kind of the only way to do it is with redstone ore. Or as we see, you could get a emerald trader here, or trade it for emeralds. There's not really a lot of ways to generate redstone except for the way we're doing it right here. And so cool, but we're going to want to use a lot of redstone. In order to do that, we're going to do a cool we're going to set up more of these guys, right? More of these users with more red orchids, and we have 99 of them now, so we have a ton. We could set up whole banks of these if we really wanted to, but I figured we'll add a few more. In order to do that, we're going to need some users, and so we've got, let's see, let's grab 4 of these guys, and then we're also going to need some, let's see, our redstone ore. So let's grab 4 of those, and let's grab 4 of these guys. 4. All right, so let's set these up. I want to put 1 here, maybe 1 here. Okay, that breaks through there, no, not a problem. We'll need 1 back and then 1 here. And what we're probably going to have to do, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 more, so 5 total. And so that's going to kind of start flowing it in really well. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to want to put a user here. So I'm going to have to move this back 1 level. That's perfectly fine. So we should be able to do this. And I lost everything because of the item collector. That's fine. Cable. I just need a few of these. So we'll go back here, on up here. And we should be able to, yeah, I'm going to have to go up here. And I don't know if this will connect or not. Can't tell. Yeah, actually that's connected. Good. So that should still continue on with that. Now, we want to take these users here. And I don't know if I can place this on. Yeah, that'll work. Good. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. Now put these guys down, 2, 3, and 4. So that's going to look nice. We'll have to do something about that. I do just so happen to have one of these lab blocks, but technically in the corner they are these blocks. So let's get one of those. Laboratory blocks. Okay, and we'll put that guy right there. Like it. And then we'll mount these guys on here. All right, so now that item collector should be collecting all of these, and we've now multiplied the amount of redstone production by 5. And here's what I want to do. I've held off this long enough. If we look, we've got crafters, right? The RF tools crafters are pretty cool because it's an auto-crafting thing. Well, if we were to make one of these, and I should have everything, this gives us a tier 1, and let's place this down in case you've never seen it before. Tier 1 crafter allows you to create a recipe in here. If we throw some redstone, or RF at it, we can create a recipe in here. And so I could do something like, 1 cactus gets you, whatever, right? That's not a good recipe for lack of anything better, that I have in my inventory right now. We place whatever pattern we want here, and then we hit apply, and we can tell it whether to go back into here. This is your source, right? What you will be using as your crafting material, and this is your recipe, and then you can either have it dumped back in here or have it dumped to the export and then dump it out. And so this particular tier 1, right? We're at tier 1, allows us to do 2 recipes, but we can upgrade that, and it's very simple. Oh, I already had it there, crafter. And then the tier 2 just uses that 1 guy and a couple more of these. So let's do that. Put that in there, and I get a tier 2. And tier 2 is 4 recipes. So now we can make 4 different recipes. And I'll go through what all these things are when we actually start placing it, what all these buttons do and so on. And there's a manual here that you can actually read about it, which is really cool. I mean, you can build the RF tools or craft the RF tools manual itself, or a great way is you can just scroll through the manual right like this by hitting any one of these question marks, right? And then you can change what look it has, you know, depending what you want. I kind of like this modern look here. I like it. So, all right, that's what we're going to leverage. And I really only need a tier 2. The tier 3 then is, see, tier 3 gives you 8 recipes that you can store in here. So we're going to leverage that because we've got this really cool thing from Reliquary called the Tome of Alkahestry or Alkestry, however you want to pronounce it, and it requires all kinds of cool stuff, right? That most of which we have. We have molten cores, and remember that comes from blazes, so we have those. Witch hats, which come from witches, we have those. Catalyzing glands comes from creeper, we have those. Books, pretty standard. Slime pearl. We don't have a lot of these, but I do have some in my system, and those come from slimes. I've had to go out in the past to swamplands and farm them. Chelicerae, that comes from spiders. Any of the types of spiders, they drop that. Wither skeleton skulls, which we have a whole bunch of them right here, right? And we can make more at will. And then lastly is the nebulous heart comes from Enderman. And we have a few of these still. The problem is this last guy up here, this Eye of the Storm. So the Eye of the Storm comes from a charged creeper. And so that's what we have to do. We have to get a charged creeper, and right, Eye of the Storm is used drops from charged creepers. So we have to get a way of charging the creepers and then killing them. And it's not a guaranteed drop. In fact, does it tell us what the percentage is? 10%, right? So in theory, we have to get 10 charged creepers. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a charged creeper at all in normal play, right? I mean, I've you know, if you purposely go out during a thunderstorm and get one of those creepers to follow you around, and hopefully lightning hits it, and it's very hard to get that. But we have other ways to do that. Now, if we look in, okay, so let me just talk about why do we want this Tome of Reliquary. So the Tome of Reliquary is a pretty cool thing because I don't know if there's a book. Yeah, that's the Tome of Parita. Let's look in Reliquary if there's a actual book or not. I don't believe so. I don't believe I've ever seen a book in here. But we just so happen to know that the Tome of Reliquary doubles any items. So let's look at something like Nether Stars. If we look at the Nether Star, what's the recipe? Well, you can double these by using the Tome of Alkestry. And it takes some durability. Well, you might notice that when we actually craft this guy, it has no durability. You charge it with, you guessed it, redstone. So we can charge that guy up with redstone, and it takes roughly 256 to fill it up. And then in order to create a nether star, I believe it takes 1/4 of it. I think that's what it is. I think or maybe it stores 1,024 in here and it takes 64. We'll take a look once we get to that point, but we've got to do some work first. But this is going to be a way of doing nether stars because we have no automated way of getting the nether star. Now, if you've been following along and read some of the comments on some of the previous episodes, there's been talk about how can we possibly automate killing the wither. And there's some sort of cheaty ways. There's some theoretical ways. You know, there's the old vanilla method of dropping them down, building a really tall tower so that when it explodes, you know, after 20 seconds it explodes, it doesn't damage the things that place it in. And you know, I've seen other guys attempt this, but the timing is pretty tough to get. You have to make sure you place it properly, and that means if you place it up high, you got to have something underneath it because the soul sand will drop. And I mean, there's just a lot of challenges associated with it. But the end result is for us to automate the wither is to get these nether stars. And so here's a way of duplicating these nether stars. But we got to get one of those charged creepers. So how can we get charged creepers? Let's look. See, there's no lightning in here. Now, if we were to put up a lightning rod and have creepers in, you know, soul vials or a a lasso and place them up there and hope we get lightning strikes on there. It might actually charge it up. That might be a way of doing it. But I believe that there's a wand in roots. And we haven't delved into roots at all. But I believe there's a staff, I guess it's called, in roots. And so I figured we'd jump into that and see if we can get a charged creeper with lightning. It might be a total bust, but that's what I want to do. I want to delve into the roots mod. So that's going to require a little bit of work. There is this tablet here, and I believe this is the manual, right? So we need a few things, and so let's see if we can actually build this. We sure can. And so let's take a look at it, see what our first steps are. All right, so there's bark harvesting. All right, so what you do is you take a sapling, one stick, and some oak wood planks, and you create this bark knife. And you can go around to various logs or trees in the world, and you can use this, and you get bark out of it. So can it hit backspace? No, escape works though. And then we've seen these come just from breaking sand, or I'm sorry, grass, right? And so there's a 1 in 40 chance of when you break grass, not tall grass, even though it states here any grass. And so using remember our Horn of the Wild, that guy breaks a lot of grass at once. And so it's a great way of getting these roots. Now, we have a ton of these. So let's see, this guy here, Old Root is what it's called. So we have 120 of them. That should be enough. I think we're good there. Growth powder, right? And so this is more for growing things. And it'd be interesting at some point to try this growth powder on things like redstone. Does it actually work? Because we know bone meal doesn't work. But, Green Grove works and so on. So I wonder if this growth powder would work. And there's Rooty Stew, right? By cooking it with some wheat and bowl, you can create a delicious stew, replenishing much more hunger. So it'd be interesting to see. The maximum we can get in general is for meatsicles. But they all have varying levels of saturation. So I wonder if this would actually give more, or just like any old mushroom soup. And then lastly is the healing poultice. So Verdant Springs, which we always consider just obnoxious in most of the things that we have farmed, they're used in roots. And I don't know if I actually have any Verdant Springs. Yeah, it looks like I've gotten rid of all of them so far. So we'll have to see if we need them. We might have to do some cooking up. But by applying the pulp of the verdant spring to your wounds, so it looks like it's a healing, instead of using food and saturation, we can use this as a quick way of healing. So the first thing I think we want to do is we want to do something like this, and this is called a bark knife. So let's do bark knife. This guy way over here. All right, so let's build one of these, and let's go get us some bark. Let's dump some of these guys off. Crafter we don't need right now, so we'll leave that here. I think we're done with this. Definitely don't want that or that, and let's go outside and go explore this. We'll figure out this. Let's go over here. So a little protected still, so it's all lit up. So let's see, right click. There we go. Right click, and then it eventually breaks. Good. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That one got to give us a lot. So I don't know how many we're going to need. We're just going to grab a whole bunch of them. Basically a tree's worth. We're knee deep in the bowels of the tree. And finally, it lost. Looks like you get 64 exactly. All right, so perfect. We now have bark. What can we use bark for? Actually, did I have any before? Nope, I didn't have any. Oh, interesting. So remember when I had a couple episodes, I was like, I wonder what that stuff is. It had a really weird texture on it, and then it broke when I put that glowing wildwood bark symbol. I don't ever remember collecting these. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what it is. Glowing wildwood bark symbol. Can't right click on it. It's a really, really cool block. Huh. I might actually have to use that to build with. Yeah. Breaks kind of like a log. So I don't know what it's considered. What are its uses? Burning. All right, like logs. Yeah, use this fuel, recycler. That's it. Well, I guess it's just a pretty building block. And its recipe has no recipe. I have no idea where I got it. Oh, wait, no. Holy crap. It's still there. That's that other thing. Okay, now I'm confused. Okay, so I have 84 of those, but I have 87 of those. Oh, I thought those were the same. Well, what a weird mod. I mean, not weird in a bad way, in a cool way, right? It's got some really neat, interesting things. So the uses of this bark are none here, but we're going to probably need them in recipes. So, yeah, let's, yeah, okay. Yeah. So the next thing I know I'm going to need is a mortar and pestle. So grab that guy. And where's our mortar? Right there. We're going to need that guy. And let's see here. I don't think I'm going to need more. Let's see if that unlocked more things in our book. There we go. So, is that under living tools? Nope, that was just that. I don't even know what group I was in, but we've got some bark now. Hey, that's pretty cool. Time shift. All right, so the ritual mechanics, the altar. So we're going to need one of these altars. And these verdant springs are something I'm going to need. Deep within the earth, you create a new structure that allows you to cast more powerful magic. Different rituals may be performed at the altar, each one requiring different components and conditions to operate. All right. And then the incense braziers, those go around or next to in the beginning and then later on around. And you actually put incense in there, and that helps you create your, whatever you want to call them, right? The things you're doing, right? The ritual output, all right? So we know we need incense, the typical first necessary items placed at the altar. Incense are ignited, and then you create what it. Yep, all good. Okay, so that's the altar. And then we know about these tools. Well, at least we kind of got a quick. So see, there you go. It goes in. Is that the pestle? I don't know. And or the mortar, I mean. And then we use bark for that. Okay. And there's multiple recipes for those, and they repair. Let's see, verdant springs, similar over time. They repair slowly over time. Yeah. Okay. And then we've got these standing stones, which are also part of the rituals, but you can turn them into more powerful things like the enhanced standing stones and eventually the energized stones. And these energized stones, so you can see here's your center altar, and then here's your first tier, and then your second tier, the energized ones. And you can create different things like an accelerator stone and entangler stone and the grower stone. So this might be good to throw around. It's kind of like our lily pads, right? Or the ritual of the green grove, the sigil of the green grove. Those kind of things boost the speed of nearby crops. It's pretty straightforward. You could have healer stone. We've got our environmental controller for that, and so on. So really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up the episode here, because we've done some really cool stuff, right? We went through here and got this all working, and I'm really happy that this is all laid out properly. It's all working quite nicely. It's all automated, nice and pretty. We've started roots. We've got this guy expanded, and I think I'm going to have to, that's right. Which one was this? This was activate blocks. So let's turn these guys on. Oh, there it was. And missed it every time. Slow down. There we go. Activate block. And that guy will be activate block as well. And we'll do that on these two. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, so cool. Now we're going. And good. It's picking it up. I didn't even get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go play around with this roots mod, get a little bit better. So we're not derping through it. We want to have a nice, efficient way through it. So I will go play with that a bit, so I can come back next episode and we'll get into roots so that we can create something that creates lightning, so that we can charge a creeper and get some of those guys, whatever those were called. It was the Eye of the Storm. And then we can work on doubling our nether stars. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you are enjoying this series. And with that said, have a good one, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.